This technique involves breaking an established pattern of thinking or behaviour to create a moment of openness to new suggestion. An example for self-improvement and confidence. You might be expecting to feel doubtful, just like before. But isn't it funny how sometimes, just when you expect a familiar feeling, you notice a completely different sense of calm and confidence emerging instead? This disrupts the expectation of doubt, allowing room for new emotions like confidence to take its place. Incongruity. Incongruity uses unexpected or humorous statements to challenge rigid thinking patterns and create openness to new possibilities. An example for joy and healing abilities. It's kind of like being in the rain and expecting to stay completely dry. You realise at some point it's easier just to dance in it and let yourself enjoy the moment. This playful comparison invites you to shift from resisting emotions to embracing them, promoting joy and healing. The embedded commands and stories. Erickson would often tell stories with embedded commands that listeners could accept unconsciously. An example for confidence and patience. I once knew a young artist who was frustrated because her paintings never turned out exactly the way she imagined. She was ready to give up, but her mentor said, "Just keep painting and trust that each brushstroke is getting you close to finding your style." So she did, and over time, without even realizing it, she became more confident in every stroke, finding joy in the process rather than waiting for perfection. This story embeds commands like keep painting, trust, and finding joy within the narrative. Stacking realities. Stacking realities involves layering stories within stories to create depth, subtly suggesting the reality is not fixed but changeable. Example for happiness and healing. I heard about a musician who once told a friend a story about a farmer who planted seeds in a field. The farmer wasn't sure when the rain would come, but he planted them anyway, trusting the earth and the sky to do their part. And sure enough, as time passed, the seeds grew to a beautiful harvest. And the musician said, "Sometimes we just need to plant our efforts with hope and let time do the rest." Isn't it interesting how patience and trust often lead to exactly what we need? This layering of realities allows the unconscious to draw parallels between stories and your life, reinforcing the values of patience and trust. Utilizing ambiguity. Ambiguity creates openness by using language that can be interpreted in multiple ways, allowing the listener's unconscious to choose the most helpful interpretation. An example for confidence and joy. As you sit here, you might find something inside of you is ready to awaken. Whether it's a new sense of confidence, a growing feeling of joy, or perhaps just a quiet acceptance that you are enough as you are. The ambiguity here allows your mind to select the interpretation that resonates most deeply. The metaphors within metaphors. This involves embedding one metaphor within another, creating rich layers of meaning that communicate directly with the unconscious. An example for healing and patience. Imagine a potter shaping clay on a wheel. At first, the clay seems resistant, stubborn even. But as the wheel spins and the potter's hands gently guide it, the clay gradually yields, becoming something beautiful and strong. Clay finds its shape with patience. Think of yourself as that potter, and the wheel as the experience in your life. You are shaping yourself, slowly and patiently, into the person you're meant to become. This metaphor within a metaphor deepens the sense of patience, healing, and transformation, combining all these techniques into a narrative. I once heard a story about a hiker who lost his way in a dense forest. He was ready to panic, but something told him to sit and wait for a moment, so he did. As he sat quietly, he noticed a bird singing, and he couldn't help but smile. And in that moment of stillness, he saw a path he hadn't noticed before. Isn't it funny how when we stop looking so hard for something, we often find it effortlessly? It's like the artist who found her by painting, or the potter who shaped clay with patience, or the farmer who planted seeds and trusted the rain. Sometimes the journey towards joy, confidence, and healing isn't about forcing things to happen, but about letting them unfold naturally. And isn't it nice to know that all the while, something within you is already guiding you towards exactly where you need to be? The summary of the additional patterns. The pattern interrupt to break the habitual thinking and allow new responses. The Incongruity to change and transform the rigid perceptions with playful or unexpected comparisons. The embedded commands and stories to suggest changes subtly within narratives. The stacking realities to create layers of metaphor and meaning. Utilizing the ambiguity to let the unconscious find its own interpretation. And the metaphors within metaphors to provide deep and layered suggestions for change. This technique involves breaking an established pattern of thinking or behavior to create a moment of